Let's talk about a major and honestly not very well-known change to U.S. visa evaluations. It has to do with an applicant's health, but maybe not in the way you think. The core concern has shifted, and it's a big deal. We're going to break down what this new guidance really means. For the longest time, the medical rules for getting a visa were pretty simple. The main goal was to protect the public from contagious diseases, right? Makes sense. But recent guidance sent out to consular posts has just blown that whole concept wide open. And this is where it gets interesting. What if the whole point isn't about stopping the spread of a disease? That's the fundamental change here. The focus has completely pivoted from public health risks to something else entirely. It's all about personal finances. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of this policy shift. We've moved from a world where the concern was communicable diseases, things you can actually pass on to someone else, to a world where the focus is now on chronic, non-communicable illnesses. And the why behind this shift is what makes it so incredibly significant. The whole question has been turned on its head. In the past, a consular officer would ask, is this person a health risk to the American public? It was a public safety question. But this new guidance makes them ask a totally different question. Is this person's health condition a financial risk to the U.S. government? So the crucial thing to understand is that this new guidance is all about avoiding what's called a public charge. The government is no longer primarily worried about you spreading an illness. They're worried you might end up needing government-funded support to manage your health. And that's the key term you need to know, public charge. Basically, it's someone who is likely to depend on government help to get by. So now consular officers are being told to look at an applicant's chronic health conditions through this very specific financial lens. They're trying to predict the future to see if someone is likely to need public benefits down the road. Think about what this means. You have consular officers who are not doctors or financial analysts being asked to do this really complex assessment. They have to spot a chronic condition, guess what the future medical bills might look like, dig into someone's personal finances, and then make a judgment call on whether that person might become a public burden. That is a huge amount of forecasting to put in their hands. So what kind of health conditions are we even talking about here? What's going to trigger this whole financial review? Well, the list is surprisingly long and full of things that are incredibly common. We're not talking about rare exotic diseases. We're talking about things like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, mental health conditions, even obesity is on the list. These are chronic, non-contagious conditions that affect millions and millions of people all over the world. This just massively expands the scope of a medical review far beyond that old standard of just looking for communicable diseases. Now, hold on, because there's a critical detail here that is so easy to miss, and it's a big one. This policy doesn't just affect the person applying for the visa, it can also reach into their family. This is an absolute game changer. Let that sink in. The thinking goes like this. If an applicant's child has an expensive medical condition, the financial strain on the parent could be so huge that it makes the parent more likely to need public assistance. So a child's health can now be the direct reason a parent's visa gets denied. Okay, so if you or a family member might be caught up in this, what can you actually do? Well, you can't just ignore it. The key is to get ahead of the problem. You need to build a rock-solid case that proves your financial self-sufficiency. Your job is to completely dismantle the assumption that a medical condition automatically means you'll become a public burden. And here's your action plan. This is the kind of evidence you need to gather to counter those concerns. Get a letter from a doctor explaining that your condition is well managed and under control. Show proof of comprehensive private health insurance. Gather evidence of your personal assets. Bank statements, property, whatever you have. You need to show that you have the financial ability to cover your own medical costs without ever needing to rely on public money. When you step back, this shift is pretty profound. We've gone from assessing someone for a contagious disease to trying to predict their future financial dependency. It completely redefines what a medical screening is for in the immigration process. And it leaves us with a really important question. What does it mean for policy when a long-term financial forecast starts to matter more than an immediate public health risk?